Welcome to the Urban Assembly Virtual College Fair. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website where you registered. And now I'd like to turn it over to our first presenter from Colorado College. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pedro Ramirez. I'm the Associate Director of Admission at Colorado College. I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes about what makes CC so different, unique, and special, and why it might be a home for you. Colorado College is located in, of course, the state of Colorado. We are the only national liberal arts college located in the Rocky Mountain time zone. So place is really important to us. At Colorado College, place informs us, it connects us, and it helps us learn how to be better selves. So as you can see from this map here, if you look at all the nationally ranked liberal arts colleges in the country, Colorado College sits alone at the Rocky Mountains. We're located in Colorado Springs, which is about an hour south of Denver, and in the second largest city in the state of Colorado. Colorado Springs is known as Olympic City, USA, because we are home to the U.S. Olympic Committee. We're home to Pikes Peak, which is referred to as America's Mountain, or as the Ute people called it, Tava, Mountain of the Sun. At Colorado College, many students ask, what makes you different? What makes you unique? And I always point to the block plan. We are one of only 2 schools in the entire United States that teach you one class at a time, meaning that each class you take at Colorado College is called a block. And in the block plan, you take classes for just 3.5 weeks at a time. So each class is 3.5 weeks, followed by a 4.5-day block break where you have time to explore Colorado, explore the Southwest, explore your community, and then you begin another class. You still take 8 classes in an entire year, which is about the same amount of classes you would take in a traditional semester. However, at Colorado College, your learning is a little different. I liken it to going back to grade school when you got to go on all these really fun field trips. You see, at Colorado College, because you're taking one class at a time, professors are able to take you outside of the classroom and able to show you what you're learning in class. So instead of reading about it or hearing about it in a lecture, you're actually going to those places, seeing those things up close. So what we have, the types of experiences that we have in the block plan are called field study, which I'm referring to. So you actually get to go out into the field. You actually get to study geology in the mountains. If you were studying Southwestern Indigenous Studies, you got to go to Taos, New Mexico, to go to the Taos Pueblo Indians. You actually also get to enjoy the outdoors, but also get to enjoy classes like sociology, where you're taking globalization of immigration, intro to journalism, where you might go to New York. So these are just some of the classes that travel during your time at Colorado College. 100% of our students at CC will take part in a field study. That means every student at CC will actually partake in field study. So you will be going outside of the classroom over your 4 years numerous times. Blocks abroad are also very prevalent. So that means that professors not only will take you on a field study, but they'll take you to an entire different country for an entire block to study different topics, right? So what better way to study coffee making than to actually go into Costa Rica? What better way to study Greek mythology than actually going to the Greek islands and sailing the Greek islands as you read the Odyssey? Or learning about the formations of psychology in Italy. So as you can tell, some of the classes that we go on travel trips to go all over the world. And most students at Colorado College will take 1 or 2 blocks abroad at least over their 4 years. And for many students, 80% of them actually will travel abroad at some point in their 4 years. So on top of blocks abroad at Colorado College, we also have study abroad opportunities as well. And then when that's all said and done, and when you're done traveling and having a good time and learning all these great things one class at a time, where you can really be intentional about your learning, you get these amazing block breaks. Like I said, place informs us. So not only will you be learning in the place in which you're in, but you're also going to be exploring during your block breaks in Colorado and in our part of the country. So going on outdoor ice climbing trips, doing community service and getting involved in the Colorado Springs community, as well as jumping in on some aerial skills classes that you might be taking at our El Pomar Fitness Center, or even learning how to kayak. All these opportunities are going to be available to you. The Colorado experience is unlike any other because we actually do believe in experiential learning. We believe in actually getting you out there and seeing things and touching things and making sure that you're actually getting the experience that's worth it in the classroom. Some of the opportunities available to our students, especially those if you identify as Black, Indigenous persons of color, is our Butler Center, which is our hub for diversity, recruitment, and inclusion. At the Butler Center, there are numerous clubs and organizations that interact and help teach our community about the importance of inclusion and diversity. Colorado College just started our anti-racism campaign a couple of years ago, where the college strives to be anti-racist in our policies, procedures, academics, and just social life. For example, we renamed a lot of our buildings on campus and parts of our campus in honor of our Indigenous past, as we do sit on unceded territory of the Ute people. So great things are happening at Colorado College. I hope you consider CC as an option over the next 4 years. And with that, I'll pass it on to my colleagues to talk about their institutions.
Thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from Lehman College. Let me check in and see. All right, why don't we move on to Mount Holyoke College, and we'll check back in with Lehman College.
Excellent, thank you so much. I'm happy to get started. I am joined by my colleague, Katarina Costa, who is the U.S. Director of U.S. Admission, and she'll be sharing her screen. And also working hard to answer many of your questions in the Q&A feature. So thank you for having both of us. Again, my name is Aria Lawson. I'm Assistant Director of Admission at Mount Holyoke College and also a proud alum, and so very happy to be with you all this morning. And both Katarina and I travel to and read applications from New York City, so happy to represent in that way as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. So some fast facts about us. We are in Massachusetts, in the western part of the state, just about 3 hours from New York City. Whenever I travel to the city, I typically like to take the Amtrak train. We have 3 different train locations, just 15 minutes from our campus, but the Peter Pan bus also picks up right outside of our gates. So that's totally an option if you are missing home and eager to get back for a weekend or even for a long break. Who are we on campus though? We have about 2,200 students coming from all over the country and all over the world. And what this means is that not only are our students coming with different intersectional identities, different educational experiences, but they're also bringing with them different passions. And those passions show up not only in our classrooms and in our labs, but also outside of the classroom in our dining hall, in the conversations that you can hear in the residence halls, and even in our student organizations. But thinking more about how those passions influence our students in the classroom, you can see that we serve students who are interested in a myriad of disciplines with 48 different majors, and also the opportunity to create your own major or to pursue a double major. Our students are deeply involved in the classroom doing research, sitting on panels, traveling for different symposiums sort of in a normal non-pandemic world. And it's really amazing to see the ways in which our students engage with each other, but then also with our phenomenal faculty who, because of our low student to faculty ratio, are really accessible and make sure that our students have all of the resources that they need to really thrive in the classroom. Next slide, please. What makes us unique in the kind of scope of higher education in the whole country is that we are a gender diverse college, gender diverse women's college. And what that means is that we admit women to our campus, but we also welcome non-binary and trans individuals to apply and come and join our campus community. Each of our students and all of our alum are brilliant, confident, and fearless. And that shows up, as I mentioned, right in the classroom, but also in the things that they're doing outside of the classroom and the ways in which they're supporting each other in all of the passions that they hold. You can see in this quote below, it's one of my favorite quotes. It resonates a lot with me, is that Our students are passionate about a lot, and you never have to divide yourself or only bring part of yourself to a classroom or to a space because that passion, you think a passion might not matter. Absolutely, your passion matters. And it's so amazing to see the ways that our students support and uplift each other in all of their diverse passions. And I'll also put a little statistic in your head in thinking about just how specific and how special the choice to attend a gender diverse women's college is, right? If you think about all of the women, all of the non-binary and trans folks that are graduating, it's just about 2% of those folks who are coming from gender diverse women's college. But when you look at Congress, right, 20% of the women in Congress are coming from gender diverse women's colleges, and 30% of the women on Business Week's list of rising women are coming from women's colleges. So think about the power that that plays, the sort of power of leadership and the power of voice that you gain when you're at a gender diverse women's college and building those leadership skills to absolutely be successful when you leave our campus. So I'll go to the next slide, please. We are really fortunate at Mount Holyoke to also not only be a powerful and self-sustaining institution, but also to be able to collaborate and work with a number of peer institutions in our area. We are just about 15 to 20 minutes from all of these schools that you see here on the slide. Amherst and Hampshire College on the top level, those are co-ed liberal arts colleges. So if you're thinking, I don't know, a women's college might not be the place for me because I don't want to feel isolated, right? There are plenty of ways to engage with a co-ed educational experience, and Amherst and Hampshire being co-ed institutions right down the road are one of those ways that you can do so. We also have University of Massachusetts at Amherst, which is a large state flagship serving about 30,000 undergraduates, so much bigger than all of us, but absolutely a space where students can go and take classes and participate in student organizations. And of course, we have Smith, which is one of our sister colleges right down the road. And so together we create this beautiful network where our students can take classes, be a part of student organizations, and have leadership in those organizations, as well as just enjoy a nice cup of bubble tea as well. So I'll go to the next slide, please. Thank you so much, Katerina. And I just want to end with talking about the resources for success. As I mentioned, I went to Mount Holyoke, and being a person of color, being a Black woman on a campus, a predominantly white institution campus, right? There are resources that you want to make sure that are there in order for you to succeed, in order to also feel as though you belong. And when we think of community, right, we want not only for there to be visibility of identities, but also for there to be a sense of belonging. And a few of the resources that I've named here, while not a comprehensive list, are part of those sort of suite of resources that are available to all students, but that we particularly uplift for our students of color, our Black, Indigenous students, and our first generation and low income students. So I want to turn your attention to the images that I have on the top right. The top right is actually a photo of one of our students participating in the Suit Yourself, or kind of visiting our Suit Yourself section of our Career Development Center, which is the space where you can go and borrow a blazer, borrow an entire pantsuit set or a briefcase, get your headshot taken if you are preparing for an interview and want to remain competitive. And then of course, we have our community, our cultural centers, and I do want to highlight specifically STEMPOC and our FLIP program. STEMPOC is our community sort of student organization that serves our students of color in the STEM field, and then our FLIP organization, which serves our first generation and low income students. So please, I know my time is up, but please ask any questions that you have in our Q&A section, and either myself or my colleague Katerina will answer those. But thank you so much for having us. I appreciate it. I'll turn it over back to you, Anna.
Thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from Rochester Institute of Technology. You're still muted.
All right, there we go. Try again. Thank you. My name is Mike. I'm the undergraduate admissions representative, tech school, right? For RIT for New York City and Long Island. And I'm just going to jump right into it now that I'm not muted. We're actually one of the largest private universities in the country. We have students coming from all 50 states, all walks of life, and we have a pretty big international population as well. This large size means that there's a ton of different opportunities for you to interact, but also collaborate with people who are literally coming from all over the globe and studying any manner of disciplines. Despite this size though, instruction is very small and personal. Student faculty ratio is 13 to 1. The average class size is 22 students. This is the kind of place where you're working side by side with your professors in the same lab, same facilities, same kinds of projects. You're really going to view them much more as colleagues. Now, of course, tech is going to be the big draw, engineering and computing, but we have 9 different colleges. There's also art and design and business, the liberal arts, the health sciences, the physical sciences. There's more than 90 different degree programs and over 100 different minors. So as I said, amazing, outstanding opportunities for you to interact, collaborate, and work on teams with people who are studying all sorts of different majors. If you find something new, you can certainly pursue that as well, and you can customize your own degree. If you do want to take it a step further, we do have accelerated graduate degree programs, so you can get a master's degree in less time overall. And we also offer 2 different colleges of engineering. There's engineering and engineering technology. More than happy to talk about the difference between those 2 during the Q&A. Now, what's special about RIT? If you take away nothing else from my rapid talking, think RIT co-op, hands-on experiential learning. We are looking for passionate people who want to pursue and chase their interests and really get their hands dirty and sink their teeth into something. Co-op is built into all of our programs, and it is full-time paid professional work experience. We are partnering with more than 3,400 different companies, and this is worldwide, so not just the United States. But the idea is that when our students do graduate, not only do they have a diploma, but they also have a resume that is full of real-world experience. They have professional contacts, they have some money in their pocket, they know what they want to do, but then they also know how to do it, so that when they do leave RIT, they can just hit the ground running. They don't have to get trained in the lab because they've literally done it all before. They're just ready and rearing to go. 60% of our students are getting a full-time job offer from one of these co-op employers, but we have outstanding rates as a university-wide as a whole. And this is including all the artist and philosophy majors as well. 94% of our students are going on to grad school or are hired within 6 months of finishing their programs. Whatever program it is that you're interested in, Google it, and a whole program page will come up, talk about that program in depth, have its own outcome rate as well as average starting salary. You can see all the classes that you would be taking, and there's also faculty contact. We love to talk at RIT. We reach out to prospective students all the time. So if you have really specific questions, feel free to reach out to them. Now, that's my big academic push, but there is more to college than just math and science and time in the lab. With such a large community, we have a very vibrant campus life. There's over 300 different clubs, more than 1,300 events annually, and that's just on campus alone. We do have Greek life as well. If you're looking for your family, a home, if you're looking for your people, you're certainly going to be able to find them at RIT because we have literally everyone, and we're very welcoming. This is a nice, diverse, inclusive community. And just to touch upon that too, I mean, there's the Multicultural Center for Academic Success. They do a ton of different initiatives. There's specialty housing in the res halls if you want to live with a diverse or an international population. There's any number of pre-professional organizations such as MOCA and WOCA, Men or Women of Color, Honor and Ambition. We have scholarships. There's the summer experience. There are specific fraternities and sororities that are targeted towards minorities, but again, leadership opportunities, advocacy, and any number of student organizations. You know, everyone is unique and special in their own particular way, and that is great, and we love it, and we are welcoming. This is something that we want to grow and just increase at RIT. If you are interested in sports, we are Division III for everything except hockey. That is Division I, both men's and women's, but we are covering everything under the sun at the club, recreational, or intramural level. Our esports team is actually larger than all of our varsity teams combined. We're a very big humans versus zombies school. And just like education is what you make of it, so to the extracurriculars, if there's a club that you want to join or a sport that you want to play and they don't exist yet, they're not on our lists, nothing stopping you from going out there and doing it. Now, when we get to admissions, with so much to offer, you can apply directly to a major. That's what most of our students do. But at your age, literally impossible to know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And every college has an exploration option. It's just a one-year deal. You actually put this down on the app where you talk with your advisor, see what you're interested in. You taste, sample, and explore every major within a particular college, and then you can declare your second year. It's a no harm, no foul, no time is lost whatsoever. And then you didn't limit yourself. You kept your options open, you got to check things out, and you have a guaranteed spot. University exploration is if your interest went over 2 different programs, say business and the liberal arts, and it's the same essential deal. Now, we are going to look at everything that you send us. High school transcript will be the biggie, particularly the classes that will be most important to your success at RIT. If it's STEM, math and science. If it's the arts or the liberal arts, it'll be English and social studies. We are test optional for everything. For recommendations, we only need one. Where you don't have to be modest would be your activities, your interests, and awards, because with such a rich, vibrant campus life, we want to make sure that not only can you take advantage of that, but that you also contribute to it. And this, coupled with your academics, will be your consideration for merit-based scholarships. For the essay, we are a Common App school. You can freestyle it or follow the prompts. And if you are interested in art, design, or film and animation, then we would need to see a portfolio as well. As soon as you apply, you're automatically considered for merit-based scholarships, as I said, based on your academics and extracurriculars, but there's also a performing arts scholarship. This is something that we celebrate and again, want to grow at RIT, and that just requires a small addition. For need-based aid, there's just the FAFSA, free application for federal student aid. And remember too, you'll have co-op, that money is yours to keep and does not affect your financial aid. If you do want to reach out to me, I am the New York City counselor. There's my address, and please join us for the open house. It's free, it's virtual, and there are live Q&A with students and professors in your program of interest. And that is it for me.
All right, thank you. So looks like we are ready to do some Q&A. So if you have any questions, please submit those. And I'm just gonna invite our reps to come on and we'll do a round of Q&A. I'll just ask you all to please share your favorite campus tradition or traditions that take place. And we can go in the same order, starting with Colorado College.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite, I have two, but I'll talk about this one. Yeah, one is called Dance Workshop at Colorado College. So about 20 years ago, a bunch of students got together to put on a dance performance for the entire college. Now, these weren't dance majors. These were students that just loved to dance. And since the 20 years, the Dance Workshop, we hold it twice a year. It's gained so much momentum that it's become a school-wide event where any student from any with any expertise or level or just wanting to get out in front of their peers and express themselves, do an amazing dance show. And it ranges from cultural dances to interpretive dances to group dancing. It's pretty amazing, and it's a show that sells out twice a year. The tickets are hot to get. It's my favorite, I think, event because it's not something that is surrounded by sports or by a mascot. It's something that's totally student created, student driven. It also displays the uniqueness of CC students, the fun quirkiness of dance, and it's just it's a great tradition we have every year. It's called Dance Workshop, and you can even YouTube it and look at some of the different videos online if you'd like to.
Excellent. Well, I'll talk about one of my favorite traditions at Mount Holyoke. And that there are so many. I think women's colleges are really well known for having a lot of fun traditions. A lot of our traditions actually always have something to do with food. So you can always be assured that there's some sort of snack awaiting you. But I'd have to say it's Mountain Day. And this is a surprise holiday in the fall where our president will wake up. It's usually the most beautiful day of the fall right here in New England. And the bell tower will ring 100 times and the president will announce that classes are canceled. And so that's not the only perk, right? Classes are canceled, but then there are also shuttles from our campus to the base of Mount Holyoke, and students and faculty and staff alike climb the mountain together. There's also an accessible route that can be driven up to the top of the mountain, and there's ice cream at the top, right? I mentioned there would be a snack there. We sing the alma mater, and what I really appreciate is that it's a tradition that continues way beyond your 4 years. So it's one that I did with my team when I was a student, but I also do with my friends and fellow alums, even as a graduate and as a staff member now. So I'll hike Mount Holyoke. Where we are in this area, we also have a beautiful mountain range called the Seven Sisters, which is directly sort of thinking about women's colleges. And I actually was able to hike the Seven Sisters with some friends as well, Mount Holyoke alums. And so that's really special. And I think what's really beautiful about staying connected to the community and staying connected to those traditions. And we didn't have it virtually this year. So folks got together on Zoom and ate ice cream, or were encouraged to get out and appreciate the land that they were on, and any ability they have to sort of be on the land and hike if they can, but also just engage in community.
With regards to favorite traditions, it's kind of hard because I've only been at RIT. I'm just starting in my 3rd year, and I'm always traveling during the cool festival times for the things that we have, be they homecoming in the fall or the Spring Fest. Probably imagine RIT, I suppose, is the most interesting thing that I've been to so far. And, you know, pre-COVID times, 30,000 people would descend upon campus. And essentially it's a showcase for everything that our students and faculty have been working on. Last year, I went to medical illustration. They had just a whole wall full of pictures and drawings of disgusting things that happen to the human body. And I just thought it was kind of neat and cool to look at. And then I suppose the best thing would be, we have a Ben & Jerry's on campus. It's the only one within a 90-mile radius. If ice cream were make it, break it for you in the college decision. And the colder it gets in the winter, the cheaper the ice cream gets. So when it reaches a certain point below freezing, then it is half off.
Awesome. Well, if any of the reps want to address any of the Q&A questions, you can go ahead and do so at this time.
Rochester itself, nice medium-sized city, third largest in New York State. We are about 5 to 6 hours from New York City, depending on how fast it is that you want to drive. And then once you get to New York City, it takes an hour to get anywhere at least. There are trains, there's going to be buses, transportation like that. We do have an international airport. So, flying between the two is a very quick trip.
I saw a question in the chat. What are other majors that we can take at some of our colleges? So I didn't mention majors in my presentation. We have over 80 different areas of study at Colorado College. Some of our popular majors are like biology, environmental science, Southwestern studies, which is really unique. And we're also one of the very few schools our size to have a neuroscience program because of our dedication to neuroscience faculty in that area. But one thing that we have at CC that's really unique are something called thematic minors. And our thematic minors are unique interdisciplinary minors where you can study things like revolutions. You can study you have a thematic minor called the book, where you learn how to actually create, write, and publish a book. So I would also encourage you to look at some of our thematic minors at Colorado College on top of our other areas of study. But I'll let my colleagues talk about some of their cool majors as well.
Absolutely, I can highlight some of the majors. I mentioned very quickly in my presentation that we do have 48 majors, and our fastest growing major is computer science. As a women's college, we care deeply about supporting folks, especially in male-dominated fields, and so we love to support our computer science students, but also many of our some of the other top majors include English, international relations, economics, and so the interest really ranges very widely for our students. What's also amazing about being a part of the 5 college community is that our students are able to take classes off campus as early as their 2nd semester. And this means that they can take classes for their major. So I know we have a current student who is a South Asian Studies major, and so she's able to take courses at Mount Holyoke, but also able to engage with students who are also South Asian Studies majors off campus. And so she might take classes at Hampshire or might take a seminar at Smith and really be able to kind of look at her educational experience in that department from a really sort of wide lens. And I'll also mention that being a part of the consortium allows us also to marry a lot of the departments that we have. So we do have 5 college majors. I believe we have 4 of them. So architecture, astronomy, dance, and our film, theater, and media studies, which is a combined major. And all of those majors really utilize sort of the difference in resources that each campus has and is able to create a really unique community. And I actually believe that our 5 college dance major is the largest sort of multi-institutional dance group in the whole country. And so it's really amazing. Going to dance performances was one of my favorite experiences at Mount Holyoke, and really being able to see our students thrive in that way.
So I saw that a student asked, what is a day in the life of a student at each college? If you all want to expand upon that, I think that's a really interesting question.
For this, I would want to plug again, not only the open house, but doing a virtual tour, because those are accompanied by live students. And you can see from my lovely little windowless cubicle here, I'm only in the office Monday through Friday. And I don't have a great idea of what exactly is it like. So I can tell you what my impressions are, but it would be great if you could talk to the students directly. So, you know, you are going to have a variety of classes in the COVID era. It's going to be hybrid. Certainly you're meeting up with friends. Most of our students belong to at least 2 to 3 different clubs or some kind of intramural sports. So that's going to be mixed in. You know, in normal times, we do have many different dining locations on campus. So, or we also have cafes. So whether or not you're hanging out, you're studying, you're working with some kind of peer mentoring group, there's literally any variety of things that you could be doing. The city of Rochester itself, maybe you're traveling and just checking things out, dining out, just checking out the whole greater Rochester area because there's a lot of water, a lot of green space. So maybe you're just enjoying the outdoors. It could be literally anything. And I want to stress, there's no typical student. Everyone is doing their own kind of cool thing at the same time. And as I said, finding their people.
Yeah, and at CC, it's actually pretty unique in that because you're taking one class at a time, actually all of our classes take place usually on campus from 9 to noon. So everyone is actually in class at the same time, which actually creates a different type of synergy on campus where after class ends, everyone can have lunch together, everyone can go study together, you can go to club meetings or play intramural sports, or if you're involved in the Colorado Springs community, you can, connect with the community that way. So at our school, we kind of have a similar cadence amongst all students so that students actually get to be together, be with one another, and create and learn with one another. So this includes faculty. So because faculty only teach one class at a time, they're not teaching multiple courses. Office hours and professors are very accessible. They have these things called breaking bread that we actually fund faculty to host dinners, lunches, and meals to host students during the block so that they can just connect with their professors, learn from them, aside from what they're learning in the topic in the class. So at CC, it's a very synergetic place because our actually calendar and our daily schedule is actually very similar. You can do whatever you want during the times you don't have class. But while you're in class, everyone's in class at the same time. So it's very unique and very different. And students tend to like it because they can connect with each other more.
Yeah, so at Mount Holyoke, typical course load is about 4 classes per semester. And typically students are taking those classes twice a week. So your Monday and Wednesday would look pretty similar, and your Tuesday and Thursday would look pretty similar. And you would typically have just about 2 classes a day, unless you're being really sort of overeager and taking 3 classes in one day and 1 another. And you're able to have a lot of flexibility. And I'll stress, I couldn't stress enough that in college, it's not the same as high school, right? You have a lot more flexibility. You're not taking the same courses every day necessarily. And so there's a lot more opportunity to, maybe you're working on campus, so you're adding a shift or 2 shifts in a week, or maybe you're a varsity athlete or a club athlete and you're having morning practice or an afternoon lifting session and things like that. And then similar to my colleagues, right, having the opportunity to get coffee from our coffee shop in the library or get a meal with one of your professors in our dining commons. And so it's really nice to be able to see the ways in which our students take advantage of the flexibility. A lot of our students are still really engaged in student organizations and their courses and research, and so they do have very little free time, right? But because they're filling it with things that absolutely fill them up and kind of that they enjoy. So maybe it's being a part of an a cappella group or having sort of a deep conversation in the residence hall, but it's really nice to see the ways in which community is shaped in all of those spaces. So in the classroom, but then also just walking to the library during a free period, or working your shift in the admission office, or going for a lifting session in the gym. So it's really nice to see the way that students sort of take charge of their schedule and engage with our campus community, but then also the 5 college community as well, and participating in student organizations and research off campus.
So awesome, thank you. It looks like the rep from Npower is here. So if you would like to give your presentation, and then we can come back to Q&A after.
Yeah, my apologies. I completely mixed up my schedule. So my name is Leni Marte. I am the recruiter and admissions manager for Npower. We're a nonprofit organization. Our main goal is to create pathways for young adults between the ages of 18 to 25 into the technology field. We offer a free 6-month program Our next cohort will begin in February until August. During the first 4 months, we will provide students with classes Monday through Friday from 9 to 1 and 2 to 6, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. One classes, students will learn the fundamentals of IT, so everything about hardware, software, networking, troubleshooting. We give the students professional development. We also pay for them to get their entry-level certifications in IT. We cover 2 certifications. And then during the last 2 months of the program, they would be placed either at a paid internship with room to become permanent employment. We would either give them project-based work with one of our partners or give them direct hire opportunities. So our goal is to get them certified, get them the experience necessary to succeed in the tech field, and get them started directly into the tech field. We work with a lot of partners ranging from New York Times, Citi, Bank of America, Columbia University, Time Warner, the channel CBS, and many other companies. So it's a great program. It's free. It's an alternative for young adults. We have a lot of students that finish college, get their degree, they have the education, but they don't have any experience, so they come and apply to our program. We have other students that are not ready to college and they want to gain more hands-on experience and come and apply to our program. We have a variety of students from different walks of life. And again, the program is free. The requirements are to be between the ages of 18 to 25. The students have to have their high school diploma and be able to legally work here in the United States. And thank you.
Thank you. So if you have any more Q&A questions, please submit those. We can go back to answering Q&A questions. I see there are still quite a few open. So if anyone would like to address any of those, you can go ahead.
And I'd be happy to talk a little bit about what our campus life looks like during this pandemic and the ways that students can reach us. And so I think hopefully I'm answering this full question, but if I'm not, feel free to interrupt. But at Mount Holyoke, we are completely virtual this year. We have about 150 students on our campus for different reasons. Some of them are international students who have not been able to go home and so have chosen to live on campus. And some of those students as well are domestic students, right, who are not able to be at home right now. But all of our students are learning remotely. We actually, though I talked a little bit about kind of taking 4 classes each semester, we actually modified our academic sort of module this year in order to better serve our students who are learning remotely. So instead of taking 4 classes for 14 weeks, which can be really grueling, especially when you're dealing with all of the other things happening in the world, we actually are doing a module system. So students, for the most part, are taking just 2 classes during each module, which means that similar to what they have at CC during their block, that they're able to really focus deeply on engaging with just 2 courses, with just 2 faculty, and just 2 sets of peers. And so they're able to commit to that time, and it's just a 7.5-week period. So a lot more manageable, a lot more digestible, but still getting a full sort of curriculum worth during that 7.5-week period. Though we are not on campus sort of in a traditional sense, we do really hope that our campus will be open in the spring, hopefully open to our students, but also hopefully open to visitors. But I think sort of understanding our community and understanding our students is a really big part of figuring out if you belong in our community and if Mount Holyoke is a place for you. And so our faculty are so accommodating. We just had a beautiful faculty chat last week, but they are so open to engaging with prospective students, whether that's in marine biology or biochemistry or in English or classics, right? So I would welcome any students who are interested in engaging with Mount Holyoke and figuring out what are we like during this pandemic, and also what are we like in sort of normal times, and how can I see myself as a student there, to reach out to us at admission@mtholyoke.edu, because we can absolutely pair you with students in your desired major or faculty in your desired major, so that especially in this moment before you can get to our campus, you really get a sense of who we are and how you can fit into our campus community.
If anyone does want to visit, we do have in-person tours. They're happening 7 days a week. As I said, of course, there are virtual options as well. COVID has affected everything, but we're running most things on hybrid. So, there are size limits for the number of people that you can have in any given room, particularly all the different kinds of labs. Schedules have changed. Things are going to be mixed, far more spread out. This changed the residence hall situation as well, so that you only ever have 2 people to a room. Facilities were upgraded. There's an app that, if you want to order food so that as many people aren't packing to the dining hall kind of thing. Masks are mandatory. Testing is mandatory. They're checking the wastewater again. Everything that we can do to be as safe as possible, particularly with such a large community. Overall, our area was not hit, nearly as hard as New York City. So the overall infection rate remains very low. There's a dashboard. We've only had 17 infections since we started classes in August. And this is something, a success that we hope to continue with.
I saw a question on the chat about attendance. Has cost of attendance been adjusted? At CC, it has. We have adjusted cost of attendance, especially for housing, room and board, and also nominal fees for classes. Many of our students at CC are on financial aid. We are a school that meets 100% of demonstrated need, which means that we can cover 100% of your family's need, or the gap between what you can pay and what it costs to go to CC. So at Colorado College, many students depend on financial aid, as part of their meal package, for example. So we prorated some of that as well. So meal costs, as well as costs for housing, as well as also costs for things like laptops and electronic and software things that students might need to successfully complete remote learning. Some of our classes at CC are in a hybrid. Only a select number of small classes are actually in a hybrid model right now. And next semester, we're actually going to go a little bit more hybrid. But we are adjusting cost of tuition and helping students out where we can through this pandemic.
With regards to our costs in general, again, same sort of thing that room and board has adjusted because, we do have a few students who did select to go completely remote. And obviously they're not living on campus or dining on campus, although the cost per credit hour has not changed. So tuition, that straight class cost is not changing overall. And then is the STEM system still included in a schedule? How many classes would be in a schedule? How long would it last? So we're on a semester system, there's the spring, there's the fall, there's also a summer. You might be doing co-op blocks over one of them. Certainly check out the program pages because the credits will vary by program it is that you're going into. But typically, for the first year, you're doing about 6 different classes. You're going to have, a little bit of general education requirements or free electives. It depends on transfer credit that you are bringing into it. But it could vary. And of course, as a new student, there'd be plenty of orientation as well.
And I'll just quickly mention with regard to our cost of attendance, we work very closely with our student financial service partners to really serve our students at every step of the way and work with our incoming students, but also, of course, our student financial service partners work every single year with our current students. And they've been really accommodating and really thoughtful about what it looks like to sort of flip tuition and sort of amend it to kind of in recognition of our current remote model. And so it's been really great to see that our students have been reimbursed in the spring. And then also, of course, when students did not come back to campus, that they received sort of smaller, they sort of received the same package, but kind of pared down because the cost of room and board was reduced from that. And I'll also mention that our STEM support systems, there's a lot of STEM support in terms of our faculty advising and as my colleague from RIT mentioned, right, guiding students to select those intro courses to feel like they have a really strong foundation so that they can kind of advance through those fields as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us. And when you go to close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey, and we'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. This was just one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions. And in about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as all of the other sessions recordings at the same website where you registered. So thank you, everyone. Bye.